Thank you very much for joining me in my little backstage studio.
Thanks for having me.
Maybe we dive right into the interview by you introducing yourself. What is your role? And
Okay, I'm Jeff DeGraff. I'm a professor at the Ross School of Business at the University of Michigan. I'm the founder of the Innovatrium Institute for Innovation, which has labs in Ann Arbor, Detroit, and Atlanta. And we serve about half of the Fortune 500 on a pretty regular basis. I write a lot of books. I have an NPR program called The Next Idea, and I travel far too much, far more than a decent person should travel. That's who I am.
Now I'm going to start with a big question, and not easy to answer, I think, but you can pick out the part that you want to answer. Is like, what is the primary challenge of when you're talking about innovation and then large companies?
Well, it's threefold, I think. I think there's three big issues. The first one is, what do you mean by innovation? Because a lot of times what they mean is hard, lumpy objects. They mean tech. I work mostly with CEOs and chief operating officers, and what they mean is revenue. They don't care whether it's aerospace or tangerines, right? It's making money. And there's kind of with younger people, it's sort of the cool factor. So the first thing is, what exactly are we trying to do here? And that's going to determine largely how we do things, because these are not the same. They're not simpatico. The second problem, when we talk to large organizations, and sort of what's the challenge of innovation, is they get stuck in the planning cycle. They plan, they go to the meeting about the meeting, the report about the report, and they wait, and they assume that at some point all that planning is going to pay off, when really the key is getting momentum. Can you get momentum in a large organization? And I think the final one is, almost always large organizations have the amazing ability to innovate, but what they don't have the ability to do is to collaborate across boundaries. They have real trouble connecting the dots, right? So they have what's called a predatory advantage, which big companies have more products and services to combine, so they can build solutions. They face more markets, and they're usually higher situated in the value chain, right? So they usually should be able to just kind of get everybody, but they compete vertically. And the problem with that is, if you do that, smaller, more agile companies, you're easy targets for them.
Especially in those large companies, we talk standardized processes to organize those large amount of crowds in those organizations. What is the challenge in having those processes in place, and then on the other hand being flexible and trying to do some radical and breakthrough innovation where a lot of uncertainties involved?
There's a deeper challenge in what you're saying, and that is, if you think about it for a minute, organizations have two roles. The first role is to stay alive, right? And that means nice quarterly earnings, or if it's a longer term firm, maybe 18 months earnings. And the second is to grow, but staying alive precedes growing. So what happens is organizations develop a lot of process, a lot of mechanisms, a lot of strategies about keeping things within limits. Right? This is the middle of the bell curve, if you will. That's what organizations do. Now, think about any process, even processes that say they're innovative. Think of TRIZ or any of these things that have multiple steps. It's sort of like a 12-step process getting off of drinking. You know what I mean? Each step is designed to de-risk the process. So what's happening is all of the potential for that innovation premium is being removed from the process. So right off the bat, what organizations have to understand is that the beginning of innovation and the end of innovation, or the long tail, is very different. When you're at the end of innovation and you're trying to get to scale, all of the radical divergence, all of the radical variation should be gone by that point. You're trying to get to scale. But at the beginning, none of that should exist. So what happens is organizations love to use tools like portfolio management or stage gating systems, and they constantly say, oh, this is really helping us create more radical innovations. And of course, those are the kind of companies that are easy targets. Look at, for an example, at pharmaceuticals, right? Have you ever seen more brilliant research scientists, their incredible breakthrough miracle drugs not get to market? Because at the very beginning, they're running these systems that are supposed to be run at the end. Right? And so one size isn't going to fit all. You have to look at the whole ecosystem as having a very different kind of set of tools at the beginning, the middle, and the end. And most organizations don't get that. They want one size fits all. They have a lot of control issues because they want to show quarterly earnings. And in the end, they set themselves up to be relatively easy prey for people who take a very different track. Again, look at pharmaceuticals and look at what biotechs do to them. Is it that biotechs are smarter? Do they have better people? Do they have more money? No. then how do they get there so quickly? They're running a very different playbook.